Welcome to the News9 Plus Show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. More grisly details are emerging from the crime that shocked India. A startup CEO, Suchana Seth, murdered her 4-year-old son. She was arrested by police while driving from Goa to Bengaluru with the body of her son. Now, she had initially told the police that she had no idea how her son died. But now police suspect premeditated murder. Now they're linking it to the 2 empty bottles of cough syrup found in her apartment suite. Was this a cold-blooded murder or something else? Joining me to discuss this are my colleagues Mohammad Wajiullah from Bengaluru, Dr. Anuja Kapoor, and my colleague Geeta Datta. Waji, over to you first. What are the latest details on this case?
Well, the case is getting murkier and murkier by the day. It is believed that from the last 2 days of investigation, Suchana has been trying to evade a lot of questions and trying to stay tight. But from what we've understood so far is that the police will now be taking Suchana to the crime spot later in the evening or tomorrow morning to get a complete assessment of what had actually happened in the hotel where she was staying. So far, they have also recovered the pillow through which it is believed that she had smothered the child, and the cough syrup theory that has come out. It is believed that one of the bottles was something that Suchana had ordered from the hotel staff itself, and the other bottle that was there in the hotel room is believed to be a bottle that she bought in when she checked in. Now, whether the cough syrup was used or not will only be figured out after the viscera report is out. But so far, from what we know, is that they took her to the Institute of Psychiatric and Human Behavior in Panaji also yesterday to check her psychological medical examination and her mental state. So it's been a process through which they've been questioning her. Today there will be fresh round of questioning to see what could have actually happened. It is believed that the child was very close to the father and wanted to really speak to her. And during that time, Suchana, he was constantly calling her on a Sunday, and Suchana did not want him to speak to her, and that is when she was trying to cover his face with a pillow, basically trying to muzzle the voice of the child. And while doing so, she might have killed the child, is what she has confessed to the police so far in the interrogation that has come out and the information that we've got from our police sources. So the case is getting murkier and murkier. The father has also been called in for questioning. It is believed that they've had a lot of conversation. After he's come to the police station and the questioning begins, we will get to know what was the conversation they had before the incident happened.
Well, Vaji, explain to us the number of times that she seems to have changed her statement. You've been talking to your police sources, and what explains this, multiple statements that she's been making in the last few days?
Well, if we see the entire incident also, well, it was something that she had not planned, because if somebody would planned this entire thing, would be aware that if she's taking a body in the car and if she's going in a cab, the cab driver who's talking to the police officer who's there, who's talking to the police officer for hours before all this happened. So she was clearly had no idea what she was doing at that point of time. And after that, she was caught. She really tried to put the entire incident on the estranged relationship that she was having with her husband, which also is believed to be the cause for this entire thing. So she has been trying to give out information as in when she's trying, she's getting a hold of her thoughts, is what we've been told. Whether those are evasive or not will only come out after a thorough investigation, after a complete after interrogation with the husband also, because we still need to know what are the conversation these two had right before on that Sunday when this incident happened, or before that also, and what was the relationship between the two of them and how it affected the child, and what had the child got to do with the two of them that it had to lose its life.
Absolutely. And Dr. Kapoor, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. We were discussing the fact that Suchana Seth is undergoing some psychological tests in Goa. Could you explain to us what these tests could be and how they could help us understand the case? What exactly happened? What was going through her mind when she did what she did?
See, psychological tests are basically to understand what is going on currently in the mind of the person.
Right.
Because there are a lot of tests like whether she was in depression or whether she is in depression. The act which she did, was it related to depressive episode? Because we all know that she, according to her, and the statements which are coming out, that she was going through a rough time.
Right.
So to see whether she was going through depression or it is related to the personality aspect, because when we say personality, we usually talk about the antisocial personality, because we have to see the factors. Because she has taken a step where she killed her son, so that is a very big step, and for a mother to take this step, a lot of things, right? Like there are a lot of things which comes into the question. So yes, the psychological assessments will be targeting about the mental health of her currently. So I would say that these are the tests which would rule out whether she was in depression or there is a personality factor. And also we don't know whether she was intoxicated or not. So we need to rule out the substance use also, whether it was there or not.
Right. Geeta, we were discussing these many unanswered questions, about this case. What is it that really jumps out at you in the last couple of days, whatever we've been seeing, the different statements that Suchana has been making to the police, and the fact that the circumstances of these events of the last few days also, they seem to indicate some kind of pre-planning, as you suggested.
Sandeep, for me, I started off by actually, I'm really horrified that a mother can kill a child.
Yes.
But then at the end of the day, you also we've been asking this question, why? Why would she kill her child who's living with her?
Right.
And we've seen that we started off by saying that initially it was like, you sort of said maybe she was going through some mental trauma. Then we heard about her getting beaten up by her, her husband.
Yeah.
But then we've seen that there's been a continuous change. You've realized that the doctors have said the child died 36 hours before. So you realize that there was some kind of planning. That she's gone. She lives in Bangalore. She goes to Goa. She takes her child there.
Right.
She orders a cough syrup. For what? Again, I don't know.
Right.
Does she give it to the child? We don't know. If a child, Rajiv was saying that, while she was talking to her husband, her child was making some sound, so she put the pillow on his face. You put a pillow, it doesn't kill, you just muffle the sound.
Yes.
How hard did she press?
Right.
Then she cold-bloodedly picks up the child, drives back.
Right.
There's a traffic jam. The driver tells us, a 4-hour traffic jam, you're in a hurry. Would you like me to take you back? You want to fly back? She says, no, I want to continue. So she sits with the body of the child in her suitcase. Then she comes back. I mean, and she's a fairly intelligent, bright mind who was listed as such in 2023. She's doing her own business. So I find it very contradictory that she is, I'm sure, going through trauma through her, personal break. But then she's also doing a fairly good job as a professional.
Right.
She's got her own startup and all of that.
Right.
And now we get to hear that they are now looking at it's a pre-planned murder, which I think it's sort of leaning towards.
Right.
They say the murder weapon, the pillow, has been found.
Yes.
She seems to be continuously changing her stance and her thing that's coming out.
Right.
And everybody wants to know why.
Yes.
I think the case that is really horrified, we've all seen women who were criminals.
Right.
But to cold-bloodedly kill a 4-year-old child because he's close to his father, there's something missing.
In fact, this is the question I want to put to Dr. Kapoor. Ma'am, the circumstances of this case, a mother killing her son, have you seen anything similar in the past? It's shocked us. We've been talking about this for the last couple of days, but what would drive someone as intelligent as her, so well settled, doing extremely well in her career, to take such a horrific step and then, to go about it as though nothing happened? And in fact, like Geeta was pointing out, drive several hundred kilometers with the body of her child. What would drive her? Would it be mental health, or, as Geeta was suggesting, it could be some other, premeditated causes?
See, when we talk about the mental health, definitely something was not right.
Right.
But now the point is, as ma'am also suggested, that if she was really unwell, how can she plan such things? Booking the ticket to Goa,
Yeah.
going there, booking the room,
Right.
ordering syrup if she has. So there are a lot of things which are in question, which are doubtful,
Yeah.
because it is coming out to be as a planned murder.
Right.
Because even if somebody is unwell, let's say for example, yes, she was going through something,
Right.
she was going through some difficulty, but taking a step to kill her own son is something which raises a lot of doubts related to the aspect. I would again say the personality aspect,
Right.
because she was going back to her life. She was like, she was not at all thinking about what will happen if somebody just catches her or asks her, okay,
Yes.
you came with your son, where is he? According to her, she was just going with the flow,
Right.
and in her mind it was like, okay, it is a normal day, getting up, packing your stuff, going back. So that, yes, really needs to be addressed about, I would again say, the personality aspect.
Right, absolutely. And in fact, Vaji, this the whole banality of this incident, as Dr. Kapoor was saying, that someone does something as horrific as this allegedly, and then just goes about as though everything is normal. Books a cab and takes the body of the son and travels with that for a certain distance. But Vaji, explain to us what she was doing in Goa in the first place, because from what you were telling us, the fact that her husband was to visit her son on the day that she was in Goa. So how did this trip to Goa come up? Was it a last minute thing, or was it pre-planned, or was this whole thing, as you just mentioned, is there a possibility that this entire thing would have been scripted?
Also, it was the New Year also, it was right after the New Year's, and it is believed she came to Goa on the 6th, and she was supposed to stay there till the 10th. Now, if you look at these dates, 6th is on a Saturday that she had come, and she was supposed to stay till Wednesday, that is till yesterday, she was supposed to stay there.
Yeah.
And 6th being a Saturday and 7th is on a Sunday. The Sunday was the date on which the husband was supposed to meet her. And I suppose from what we know that the court, the case was in Bangalore,
Right.
it was heard in Bangalore. And the decision by the court for the father to see the child on Sunday was happened in Bangalore.
Right.
So that was supposed to take place in Bangalore, but she had gone off to Goa. And the father was frantically trying to call her to see that if she could speak to this child because as per the court orders, he's supposed to speak to him on Sunday. So I think that didn't happen, and the plan to go to Goa was pre-planned just to make sure that the father does not see the child, because if we see the court proceeding of Suchana Seth right before this incident happened,
Right,
a year before
right.
that, when she had filed
Vaji, I'm going to
domestic
interrupt you. Mr. Bawa is joining us, Mr. G A Bawa, former Deputy Commissioner of Police. Mr. Bawa, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. We were discussing this bizarre, murder case of Suchana Seth. In all your experience, all your decades of police experience, have you come across a similar case like this, where a mother would take the life of her child and then go about as though nothing happened?
Really, it is very pathetic and barbaric act by a mother killing a child. And whatever it may be, it is by normal, that mother, whatever it may be the dispute, but mother's mind might have been, she might under some depression because of some
Right.
dispute, whatever it may be, under depression only they can do the act. Afterwards, immediately they will feel bad. And she, what I heard that she tried for suicidal also. I don't know. And what I heard from Chitradurga, but this is really not in normal mind. No woman can kill a child of her. So it is because of only because of what I told, because of depression only, because of some reason for that,
Right.
because maybe dispute between husband and wife. But after doing this, so what I heard is child spoke to father.
Yes.
Actually, according to law, a child must be there till 11 years. He or she
Yes.
must be there with mother, and the father can see and all. The court will permit for that. So she might got annoyed and got because of her thinking, bad thinking, and the toxic thinking might have she might have committed this offense.
Yes.
Similar offense, every offense has got different methods, MO they will use.
Yeah.
But this is the thing happened because of her mindset.
Right, absolutely. And Mr. Bawa, what would be the next steps for the police to do right now in Goa? The case has been registered, the crime was committed in Goa, the case has been registered there, the investigations are on. What would the police now have to do in the next couple of days?
Yes, because she is in, I think she is in police custody.
Yes.
And she committed murder in Goa. Goa police only given information after seeing the blood in that room and received the information, and they got the phone number. They informed the Chitradurga police. They in between they caught her along with the dead body, and now she is in police custody. She has to tell what is the fact and all. She might have recorded it. And after interrogation and after getting all clue and after collecting all evidences regarding that, they will submit charge sheets automatically and court will take the final decision. And I saw the husband's attitude also, he was also feeling bad. And this is the police will file charge sheet after due investigation before 90 days after arrest.
Right, thanks. And I want to ask Dr. Kapoor this about the the circumstances of this case again. What are the different reasons that could kind of compel her to do what she did? As a psychologist, what would drive her to take such an extreme step?
See, personally, if I would say, I would have been taking a case history. So definitely I would be looking, first thing would be whether the child was planned or not. Because that can also be one of the major stressors if the child was not planned.
Yes.
So understanding the child birth is something which is important, I would say. Second is that the family dynamics, what was going on. Because I think in few news videos, I've seen that she also filed domestic violence case against the husband.
Right.
How was the family dynamics?
Yeah.
And if there were, let's say, domestic violence happening and the child was witnessing it. So again, the question raises, the child was very close to the father.
Yes.
So what can be the reason? Then other things will be like, for example, again, which is coming to be is the mindset of the person. Because that can definitely play an important role. What was going on in her mind, and so whether she planned everything to execute this way, or it was an impulsive decision which she took. What was it? Because somewhere, even if it was impulsive, it again raises a doubt that why will she go to Goa and then do it?
Right.
So a lot of things, the mindset, from my experience, depression is a very big statement when people say these days that because of depression, somebody did this or took a step. But then again, we need to understand depression makes the person go lethargic. There is no, I would say, ability to carry out such a planned murder.
Right, absolutely. That's a very important point. Depression doesn't make you carry out a murder like this. So that possibly you're suggesting that rules out one of the causes of this.
Yeah, even yes, stressors were there. Stressors are there, that is okay. But to label someone that the person was in depression and then they did it, that is something which I would not agree with, because depression, clinical depression, is a very different picture.
Absolutely, and thank you very much, Dr. Kapoor.
I just wanted to say one thing, Sandeep.
Yes.
The fact that she went from Bangalore to Goa to avoid the child to talk to this. The father was not in India.
He was in
Indonesia. It was kind of irrespective whether she was going to be in Goa or Bangalore, because she would have had to have the child talk to the father through the mobile phone. So that is one thing. And, secondly, I don't know if she's that intelligent. I mean, I'm just thinking aloud that is she doing this to, say that she's a victim of mental a problem to
right, or to spite her husband,
no, to avoid getting
right.
a punishment against her. Maybe if she
absolutely, please,
said that she's
yes,
clinically
insanity.
depressed,
Absolutely.
then maybe
yes.
she gets a less
In fact,
amount.
all these questions, I mean, these are all the questions that we've been asking, and we'll
Yeah.
continue to ask in the next couple of days. But thank you very much, Dr. Kapoor, Mr. Bawa, Vaji, and Geeta, for the story of the murderer mom. We still don't know all the answers to this. We can only hope the police conclude an investigation at the earliest. The opposition plans to boycott the Pran Pratishtha, or the consecration of the idol of Sri Ram, in Ayodhya on the 22nd of January. Why is this happening? Now, joining me to discuss this are Geeta Bhatt and Shikha Mukherjee and my colleague Brajesh Pandey. I want to start by asking Geeta, the Congress started by saying that it had opened the locks of the temple in the 1980s, and now they've kind of gone silent and they're not attending the event. Why the U-turn?
I think, personally, I think that this is what was expected from Congress.
Right.
But one thing is for sure, that Congress has once again exposed itself, that how it has been, rather, its anti-Sanatan stand once again has been established when they have refused to attend
Right.
one of the most important ceremonies of the century.
Right.
Something which has been at the center of a social and you can say a political challenge for various governments, and also something which is so close to the cultural heritage of this country.
Right.
The Pran Pratishtha of Bhagwan Ram, something which is happening after a struggle of almost 500 years.
Right.
And they don't want to be a part of this ceremony.
Right.
Ironically, in 2016, when the canonization of Mother Teresa took place,
Yes.
the Congress party and Ms. Sonia Gandhi personally wrote a letter to the Pope, where she praised that how it was so so well thought by the church to have canonized Mother Teresa. And at the same time, two representatives, and if I remember, one of them was Margaret Alva. In
Right.
the letter, she had said that she's not well, that is why she's not in a position to attend, otherwise she would have definitely been there.
Right.
So it is very, very clear that the Congress party and in the leadership of Sonia Gandhi, when she was president, when they were in the UPA and in the government, how they must have derailed the whole process of providing documents or any such means when this case was still sub judice.
Yes.
And there was the court case was still going on related to the Ram Mandir in the Supreme Court and earlier in the Allahabad High Court.
Right. Shikha, when we heard about the Pran Pratishtha last year, a lot of us seem to think that it would be a purely religious ceremony, but I think the aim of the Prime Minister seems to be to convert it into a national event. And there's a lot of politics also attached, as Geeta was just mentioning, the fact that there seems to be a political divide now. Why is this the case? Is it because the temple was, top, front and center for the BJP for the last 10 years at least?
I think we are making a mistake. The Ram temple issue starts in 1991. When the Ram Rath comes out,
Yes.
and then there's the Shilanyas and everything that happens.
But it had gone into cold storage for about 3 terms, 96 to...
There was never any, it
99.
was always, of the 5 or 4 things that the BJP promised,
Right.
and has been consistently promising forever and a day.
Yes.
The top of the agenda is the installation of the Ram idol,
Yes.
and the construction of a Ram Mandir in Ayodhya.
Right.
Let's not make any mistakes on that. That's a decades-long project,
Yeah.
and the BJP is now getting where it promised to be.
Right.
Therefore, it comes with a Modi ki guarantee,
Ah.
and I think that is precisely the point.
Right.
That this is an event which is Modi ki guarantee, and that the government in 10 years, Modi government in 10 years has successfully managed to do it.
Right.
Therefore, yes, it is a political event. The
Right.
divide, as you see it, is, I think, a necessary divide. If we look at it as the politics of the temple, and that is what it has been from the 1980s actually, there was a divide, and that divide got kind of fudged, unfortunately, by the soft Hindutva temple touring Congress leadership and these big yatras that all the others took out, etc. Therefore, let's be very clear. Here is, if you look at the 27, 28 parties of the India Alliance, which is the opposition led by which includes the Congress as the biggest party, the CPI CPM was very clear at the very outset: nothing doing, we are not going. The other parties made equivocal statements. Yes, we are considering it. No, it's a matter of personal faith. It's something else. I really don't understand all this faith matter. But having said that, politically, what else should they do? Here is the BJP's agenda being fulfilled.
Right.
Why should they go and celebrate it? If they do go and celebrate it, then who are they? Their identity as the opposition becomes null and void.
That's a question I'm going to ask Brajesh here. Brajesh, what's the Congress's calculations? Why did they stay out of it? Is it to say that, hey, listen, this is your agenda, you've fulfilled it, we have nothing to do with this?
See, Sandeep, I think, in politics, the most important thing is whether you are able to sell your narrative or not.
Right.
When you yourself mentioned that, that the BJP, the Congress is trying to experiment between soft Hindutva, hard Hindutva, you go on a temple hopping spree.
Yes.
And then, in one next election, you completely abandon it only to find faith again in the next election.
Right.
My point is that, you have to understand that there are two things which are happening. A, the temple belongs to Lord Ram.
Yes.
And the narrative belongs to the Bharatiya Janata Party,
right,
which is very strictly controlled by Vishwa Hindu Parishad.
Yes.
So anything which is going out comes out of Sri Champat Rai, who is the VHP head, and also controlled by and the kind of help it is receiving from the government. Now the point is that whether the Congress will make the required differentiation by not going to that, I don't think so. Because the thing is that your own party in Uttar Pradesh, which is the largest state, your own party chief is saying that we will go to Saryu on 15th, we will take dip in Holy Saryu, and after that we will go and do a darshan of Ram Lala.
Right, right.
Your own government says that the Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar says that I have ordered the minister who under whom all the temple is there, and we'll light a diya in 30,000 plus temples and all.
Right.
So after making all kind of required statement, out of bold came the statement that we respectfully decline.
Right.
I don't think that if Congress would have gone there, they would have merged with what the BJP is trying to sell.
Right.
Because you live to fight another day, and by not going, they have given BJP ample handle, which they have already bandied the Congress as something called anti-Hindu.
Anti-Hindu.
So it makes the task of the Congress all the more difficult.
Yes,
for that. You have Shankaracharyas who have come out and said that this Pran Pratishtha is not right. They are talking against the government and all. But they are pontiffs. They can take a position. You are a political party.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have to convince people to vote for you,
and you have
for
to
you
go
to win an election.
Absolutely. But Geeta, don't you like to thank the Congress government for what they have done by opening the locks of the disputed structure way back in the 80s? Because if Rajiv Gandhi hadn't done that, I don't think the temple movement would have really taken off, and we wouldn't have been looking at the inaugural of the temple this year.
Well, if we go back to the 1980s, that was the time when, if you remember, it was during 86 or 87 that the the court judgment had come.
Right.
And we know that how it was handled by the Rajiv Gandhi government.
Yes.
The Supreme Court had given the judgment in favor. So it was basically to counter that. There was a lot of criticism of the Rajiv Gandhi government, because when they had brought the law to counter the judgment in favor of Shah Banu,
right.
And that had, to counter that, it is that they thought that to divert the whole attention, it would be better that, they can, if they open the locks of the Ayodhya temple. And that is how this is the background. And, nevertheless, even if we want to give the credit, in spite of this background, to Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, at that time, then what happened later on? We very well know how Congress has been, has been taking a stand, and the Congress-led governments have been taking a stand during the Ayodhya temple issue when it was in the court.
Right.
We have seen that how Mr. Kapil Sibal at that time in the Congress party, who was a union minister, how they have gone all out in the court. Even the 2019 election, when was just before that, when the court case hearing was going on, the plea was made that the judgment should be postponed because
Right.
it is going to influence the 2019 Lok Sabha election. So it is basically the Congress party which has been politically trying to use a movement which actually is a socio-cultural movement. This as an ideological issue, BJP stood along with it through thick and thin, whether they were in the government or out of it. But if you look at the Congress party, we have seen how there was this, the Chunavi Hindu was the tag which was being given to Mr. Rahul Gandhi when he went to temple hopping just before the elections. And, so this kind of, I think they do not know where they stand because ideologically they have never stood for the Ram temple issue.
Absolutely. And Shikha, what do you think is going to be the impact of the Pran Pratishtha ceremony? It's on the 22nd of January. Electorally, how will it help the BJP? Will it consolidate their traditional Hindutva vote base? Or is it much more than that?
Yeah, okay. Two things. One is that, the advantage of having lived through those times, as I was already a journalist of over 2 decades by then, is that I remember that part of the politics of the temple was part of the anti-Mandal. It was Mandal versus Kamandal,
to balance the Mandal.
I mean, let us not sort of turn it into a kind of Shabano versus Mandir.
Right.
It was very definitely Mandal versus Kamandal that was happening out there.
Right.
Let's not forget that there are many contributing factors in the way in which politics emerges.
Many contradictory factors.
Yes. Let me answer your question. What do I think is the impact? Electorally, if we are talking about the traditional BJP voter, that is the core base, core support. Now, if the BJP is worried that the core support is in some way unhappy about its performance as a government, because please remember that the election is fought as a government.
Yes.
The performance of this government 10 years down the line is what is going to be decided. Therefore, if the core base of the BJP is unhappy, then there is a problem. And this problem, I'm so sorry, and this problem is then countered by the temple itself.
Right.
Inauguration of this fast forwarding the inauguration itself, about which people have made various comments. The impact of it actually depends on the opposition.
Right.
Will the opposition use the temple as a way of putting across what is their politics, what they stand for, what do they mean as themselves as an alternative, and what their decision to reject the invitation.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, Shikha, I'm sorry I have to interrupt you. I'm totally out of time, but thank you very much for your thoughts, Geeta and Shikha. Brijesh continues to stay with me for the next segment. The BJP's temple, we're all looking at the 22nd January very closely to see how Indian politics is going to take a turn for the future. Thanks for watching. Now, a phrase that we've been hearing about Prime Minister Modi's recent initiatives are Virasat or Vikas, which means heritage and progress, or it can be said, leveraging culture for the economy. Now, the Ram temple is being built for 18,000 crore, but it's expected to generate business several times this figure. And joining me to discuss this are my colleague Brijesh Pandey and Mr. Praveen Khandelwal of the CAIT. Mr. Khandelwal, welcome to the News9 Plus Show. We're talking about the investments, Mr. Khandelwal, being made by the government into the Ram temple, and indeed for the infrastructure that's been catered to around the temple. Explain to us how you believe this is going to act as a force multiplier for the local economy and the national economy.
Well, as you rightly said, that considerable expenditure has been made on Ram Temple, and it is going to boost the not only the local economy, but I believe the international economy as well pertaining to India, because as we already stated that a trade worth more than 50,000 crores of rupees is going to be held during the month of January because of 22nd of January. That is because of large scale of events to be held not only in Delhi but across the country, involving not only the goods but even the services also. So therefore, every sector is getting its own shape and its own the account for celebration of the Ram Mandir, and series of events have been planned for that. Therefore, I am of the firm belief that this is going to certainly boost the national economy, and it will encourage the temple tourism in the country.
Right. Absolutely. It will encourage temple tourism. And Brajesh, it's the Prime Minister has been making a lot of statements of late. He's been encouraging Indians to spend locally, from wed in India and
wedding destinations in India.
Wedding destinations in India, and of course tourism, as we all know, in the Lakshadweep. And of course, as Mr. Khandelwal just pointed out, that religious tourism is huge. I mean, 60% of tourism in India is religious tourism. Is this all part of that plan to reactivate this religious economy in the north of India?
Well, I think Sandeep, if once the consecration is done, once the Pran Pratishtha is done, the economy will be on steroids as far as the Ayodhya and in and around area is concerned. Because Ayodhya, if you've been to Ayodhya, it's a very non-descriptive place. It's not in touch with modernity at all. The roads are not in good shape at all. All of that is getting a facelift which is unimaginable. You're getting an international airport, you're getting
flights have already
booked, you're getting a railway station. Right now, as we see, the Prime Minister, knowing fully well, that what kind of the number of people will land in Ayodhya on 22nd, he had to make a plea saying that please don't come in Ayodhya on 22nd. Trust me, right now, people like 40,000, 50,000, 1 lakh people are descending down in the temple place of Ayodhya to have a darshan of Ram Lala. Once the temple is built, once the infrastructure is in place, I mean, you can't imagine the kind of economy it will generate, the kind of money spinner this entire thing is going to be. Because Ayodhya, already when the situation was not that good and the facilities were not that well, I mean, people were still coming down to have a look at Ram Lala in tent. Now Ram Lala will be in a grand temple, and now you have an airport, you have a railway station.
Well connected.
It is going to put. I think the dream of Yogi Adityanath of making Uttar Pradesh $1 trillion economy, this is going to be a big push.
That's a very important point that Brajesh made, Mr. Khandelwal. The fact that UP's target to be $1 trillion economy is going to be realized in part due to the Ram temple itself. But, there's been in recent months, temple tourism is booming in Uttar Pradesh. I was just looking at the figures. Varanasi, 7 crore tourists in 2022. I mean, that's 10 times what Goa got. Goa just gets 85 lakh tourism. We think it's a great tourist state and all that. But Varanasi, a city of Varanasi getting 7 crore. What is your predictions for these temples that are being developed in Varanasi, in Ayodhya, and probably elsewhere in UP? How is that going to act as a force multiplier?
Well, all these temples, what you are talking about, have been generating a huge audience, not only from UP but even from across the country. Because of their redevelopment. We must understand that redevelopment is the root cause. Earlier, Varanasi was there, Shiv Temple was there, but this kind of tourism was not there because the temple was not on its proper position. Now you have such a beautiful temple. And if we talk about Ayodhya, I believe more than 12 crore people are going to visit Ayodhya in 2024. That itself shows the kind of economy boost not only in Ayodhya but even the surrounding areas. And if I go one step further, not only UP but even all the states of the country are going to get their share, because people will be coming from across the country, from different states.
Absolutely. And 12 crore, Mr. Kandilwar, I'm sorry, we are totally out of time here, but that's a very important takeaway. Another figure that you've given us, 12 crore tourists are expected in 2024 in Ayodhya alone, and you can imagine how this business of culture is going to really take off. Thank you very much for watching.